In this video, I'm trying to tell you how many planets there are in the universe. A few years ago, it was an easy question that anyone could answer: 9. Today, it is contentious. Astronomers have thrown a spanner in the works by discovering rocky bodies in the deep freeze of the outer solar system that rivals Pluto. In addition, they have also found hundreds of planets around distant stars. Forced to rethink the definition of a planet, they now suggest there are 8 bona fide planets in our solar system, plus a few dwarf planets like Pluto. Since prehistory, we've known that planets are different from stars. Planets, named after the Greek word for wanderer, migrate across the night sky through the unchanging backdrop of stars. From night to night, the stars form the same patterns. Their constellations all slowly spin together about the north and south poles, each star etching a circle daily in the sky. But planets' positions shift a bit relative to the stars each day, following a tilted path across the sky that is called the plane of the ecliptic. All the planets move within the same plane as they orbit the Sun, which is projected as a line in the sky. The major planets other than Earth, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn have been known for millennia. They are easily visible to the naked eye, often outshining their stellar neighbors. And their contrary motions lend them mythical status. The arrival of telescopes in the 17th century generated more awe. Saturn was surrounded by beautiful rings, Jupiter boasted a coterie of moons, and Mars's surface was flecked with dark channels. Definition of the planet. A planet is a celestial body that a. is in orbit around the Sun, b. has sufficient mass for its self-gravity to overcome rigid body forces so that it assumes a round shape, and c. has cleared the neighborhood around its orbit. Planet X. This heavenly certainty was shaken by the discovery of the planet Uranus in 1781 by the British astronomer William Herschel. Smaller and slower moving than the other known planets, Uranus was originally thought to be a rogue star. It was Herschel's careful tracking that proved that it orbited the Sun, thus bestowing its planetary status. Herschel basked in fame because of his discovery, even courting King George III's favor by briefly naming it after the English monarch. More discoveries were to come. Slight imperfections in Uranus's orbit led to predictions that it was being disturbed by another celestial body that lay beyond it. Several astronomers scoured the expected location, looking for a wandering interloper. In 1846, Neptune was discovered by the Frenchman Urbain Jean-Joseph Leverrier, narrowly beating British astronomer John Couch-Adams to make the discovery. Then, in 1930, Pluto was confirmed. As was the case with Neptune. Slight deviations in the expected movements of the outer planets suggested the presence of a further body, at the time called Planet X. Clyde Tombaugh at Lowell Observatory in the US spotted the object when comparing photographs of the sky taken at different times. The planet had given itself away by its motion. But it fell to a schoolgirl to name it. Venetia Burney from Oxford, in the UK, won a naming competition with her classics-inspired suggestion for Pluto, god of the underworld. Planet Pluto inspired a host of popular cultures at the time. From the cartoon dog to the newly discovered element plutonium. Michael Brown said, "Like continents, planets are defined more by how we think of them than by someone's after-the-fact pronouncement." Pluto was dethroned. Our 9-planet solar system stood for another 75 years, until Michael Brown of Caltech and his collaborators discovered that Pluto was not alone. Having found a handful of sizable objects not far from Pluto's orbit at the cold edge of the solar system, they happened upon one that was even larger than Pluto itself. They called it Eris. The astronomical community had a conundrum. Should Brown's discovery be recognized as a 10th planet? And what about the other icy bodies near Pluto and Eris? Pluto's status as a planet was called into question. The outer reaches of the solar system were littered with ice-smothered objects, of which Pluto and Eris were simply the largest. Moreover, rocky asteroids of similar size were known elsewhere, including Ceres, a 950 kilometers diameter asteroid that was found in 1801 between Mars and Jupiter during the search for Neptune. In 2005, a committee of the International Astronomical Union, the professional organization of astronomers, met to decide Pluto's fate. Brown and some others wanted to protect the status of Pluto as culturally defined. In their view, Eris should also be considered a planet. Others felt that all the icy bodies beyond Neptune were not real planets. It came to a vote at a conference in 2006. The definition of a planet was redefined. A concept had not yet been defined. Some were bemused, saying that this was like requesting the precise definition of, say, a continent. If Australia is a continent, then what about Greenland? The astrophysicists agreed to a set of rules for defining Europe and Asia. A planet is defined as a celestial body that orbits the Sun, is massive enough that its gravity makes it round in shape, and has cleared the region around it. According to these rules, Pluto was not a planet, for it hadn't cleared other bodies from its orbit. Pluto and Eris were named dwarf planets, as were Ceres, while smaller bodies, apart from moons, remain unspecified. Beyond the Sun. This planetary definition was made for our solar system, but it may be applied far beyond that. Today, several hundred planets are known to orbit stars other than the Sun. They were identified mainly by the subtle pulls they exert on their host stars. Most of these planets are massive gas giants, like Jupiter. But more recent spacecraft such as Kepler, launched in 2009, are vying to detect smaller planets around other stars that might be like Earth. Another definition that has been called into question lately is that of a star. Unlike the Sun, stars are balls of gas that are large enough to ignite nuclear fusion in their cores. As a result of this energy, the star shines. But it isn't obvious where the division is between planetary-sized balls of gas like Jupiter, and the smallest, dimmest stars, like brown dwarfs. United stars and even free-floating planets may litter space. William Herschel. Born in Hanover, Germany, in 1788, Frederick William Herschel emigrated to England in 1757 and earned a living as a musician. He developed a keen interest in astronomy, which he shared with his sister Caroline, whom he brought to England in 1772. The Herschels built a telescope to survey the night sky, cataloging hundreds of double stars and thousands of nebulae. Herschel discovered Uranus and named it Georgium Sidum in honor of King George III, who appointed him court astronomer. Herschel's other discoveries include the binary nature of many double stars, the seasonal variation of Mars' polar caps, and the moons of Uranus and Saturn.